Cool. So, welcome to February's pollinator session. We're going to talk about organizing social media. There's so much to social media. I could spend a week, 8 hours a day talking about it. But today we're just going to kind of talk about organizing it. And some of y'all on the call have heard me say some of these things before, but I think it's always a good reminder because social media is something that, we love to hate, I guess. um, okay, so the platforms, what platforms? There's a ton out there, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Then we have the newer ones, TikTok, Pinterest is another one, Clubhouse. And there's always some kind of newest and greatest that we all need to switch gears and be on. And it can be really overwhelming and hard to decipher what you should be on and what you shouldn't be on, because it does take a lot of energy and a lot of time, and you don't want to really be wasting that. So how do you choose? And some of y'all have already done this process with me, or we've talked about it, but it's really about finding your ideal client. It's the crosshair between finding your ideal client and where you like to hang out too. So some of your ideal clients might be on platforms that you just don't really like, and don't go there then. If you don't like those platforms, even though they're on there, you're not going to be consistent with posting on there. You're not going to be interacting, and it's not going to serve you well. So find that sort of nice sweet spot of where they are at and where you want to be. And I'm going to share in the chat a link to my ideal client form, and it's full of questions that you can actually ask an ideal client. And I want to stress this: make sure you actually interview a real person. Stephanie's gone through this with me. Because you're going to pull some nuggets out of what they say versus you trying to sit in their seat or wear their shoes. Me and Sarah actually did this process for our podcast, where we interviewed some of our top fans on our podcast. And we got some interesting information. We were thinking people didn't really want to hear from us. And so we were bringing on guests left and right. And turns out they actually don't really care about the guests as much as we thought they did. And so now we've switched gears, and now we're starting to be a little more selective on our guests. So there's always little nuggets that you can kind of find out that can really help you to know what they want to hear from you, know how they want to be communicated, and where they're hanging out. And when you do these interviews, I would recommend picking 1 to 3 either past, current, or future ideal clients. And everyone likes to talk about their own things. So oh, I got someone in the waiting room. Let me let them in. Oh, it's Leah. So everyone likes to talk about themselves. So asking if I can interview you and pick your brain, I've never been said no to. And when you go into those interviews, be really, really, really curious, and use my worksheet as a guide, but just branch off. Don't think you have to use my entire work, all those questions that I have on there. Be curious and ask and do follow-up questions. And that's why I say do it in person live, because now you can kind of react to the situation. Once you do those interviews, and you'll be able to find who your ideal client is and what they're doing and where they're hanging out, I would recommend 1 to 3 platforms, no more than that. It can get so overwhelming, and you don't have to be everything for everyone, because you're just going to spread yourself too thin. So pick those, 1 to 3 platforms that you want to do. Why isn't that moving forward? And then I want to pull it back real quick. I talked about this last month for some of you guys. But I really like to show the big picture of marketing and where your customer is, like the journey of your customer and your clients. I think it just helps sort of pull you out of doing these little things to understand the bigger picture. At least for me, it does. And this is, a marketing funnel. You have your awareness, which is the broader, big part of the funnel. And then, of course, it drills into interest and engagement, consideration, and action. So the awareness is really you're capturing the widest audience possible. Those are all sort of some of the tactics, marketing tactics that you can use to bring awareness to your brands and your product and what you've got going on. Oh, yay, Julia's here too. Cool. So you can see we're talking about social media. So you can see social media lands in this bigger arena because you can reach a wide amount of people, people that don't know who you are yet, and it, and you can see these other kind of brand awareness things that can tactics that you can do. And then social media actually falls into the smaller one too because it's interest and engagement. And now it's people that kind of, okay, I see what you're doing, I see who you are, and I like what you're doing. I'm going to start liking things that you're posting, I'm going to start commenting. So it starts to drill down. You have a big social media audience, but there's only a certain amount that actually engage and show an interest. And that's sort of how the funnel works. Um, and through social media, some of these tactics, you can start to promote your webinars that you do and free trials that you might have coming up, or push people to your email campaigns. So these are all sort of interchangeable, but still the same idea. And of course, consideration. So now this is, okay, I really like what you're doing. I think I might want to purchase from you. I'll try your free trial, or I'll pay for that live webinar that you're doing. And then now you've got action. Now they've turned into a client or a customer. So I just wanted to, show you the big picture because they all sort of work together without that big wide net of social media, and then providing quality content to really bring in their interest, to then pulling them on to your email list or into your webinars. You can't get the sale. They all sort of work together. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to talk about just giant, big content ideas, because finding what to talk about, it can be so overwhelming when you just stare at, if you're building it in Canva and you're staring at Canva, like, what do I build? What do I do? So I wanted to break it down into sort of 5 buckets that you can pull ideas out of those buckets. So the first one is educate, the second is inspire, the third is show and share, the fourth is ask, and the fifth is celebrate. And so we're going to dive into each of these big buckets so you can kind of extract and start to think through what content can I pull from each of these buckets. So we've got educate, and this is such a great one, and this can be covered over everyone that is on this call. It's teaching moments, you're solving a problem, you're offering up tips and tricks, and you're sharing your technique that you do. It's how-tos. This is all, you're kind of pushing what you've learned out. And you can kind of think of it, what is the number one, question you get from your clients or customers? Then right there, you can turn around and offer that up as a tip, or solving a problem. And the next one is inspire. So this is maybe lessons that you've learned. And Zoe, you do this really, really well on your social media. And this is quotes that you feel inspired by, or that you've maybe, come up with, and also something that, you've created. So, we got Erin coming in too. So maybe something you created, let's say you cooked a meatless Monday meal, and, you're trying to inspire less meat eating out there. And also showing your progress. So showing where you were and where you've come from and where you've been to can really infuse some inspiration. And those are always good. Those are a pretty popular kind of angle on social media. And then the show and share is, and some of these kind of overlap as well, but show and share is progress on a project. I see artists doing this a lot. They do time lapse of their paintings. It's really cool. You can also show and share your struggles. Just pop on and do an Instagram. Let me actually back up. So all these things can be used as a post, as a live, as a story, as a blog post that you're putting on LinkedIn, like anything. These are just sort of big bucket ideas of what content you can do, and then you just pull those into whatever platform and however you're posting. And then your struggle. Everybody likes to see sort of the human side of a brand and a product, and showing your struggle and what you've been through, or what you're even posing a question saying, I'm struggling with this. Are you struggling with the same thing? How have you broken through? And then just sharing what's on your mind, whatever that might be. And also what problems you see your clients facing and how to help them. So showing, hey, I had this client, they were facing this sort of problem, and this is how we helped them break through. It's a really good one for service based. And then ask is such a really good one, especially right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Instagram hashtags are just not working like they used to. Social media platforms love to change their algorithm and make us be on our toes constantly. So I'm noticing it in a lot of my clients is a decrease in reach through hashtags, which is really frustrating. So it's real important now to start pushing out questions and engagement from your audience, because that can help boost your organic reach. So asking your followers questions, asking for their opinion, asking how they feel about something can really help pull that in. And you could do any kind of contests, or asking is all about the engagement, so you're asking them to kind of react. And then celebrate. This one's a fun one. So posting testimonials that you've gotten and thanking those people that left those testimonials. Anniversaries, if you have any anniversaries coming up, 1 year anniversary for your company, you can celebrate a colleague. Maybe they, wrote an amazing blog post or were in an article, or you just want to celebrate someone because they're in your life, they're in your circle, and they're really awesome. And business milestones is really great, and also any client wins. So if your client had a success story and you share that, it can be really beneficial. Okay, so now we have sort of an idea of sort of the 5 big buckets of content. So now I want you guys to ask yourselves, how many days can you commit? Because consistency is where it's at. And if it's 1 day a week of posting of whatever that means for you, that's okay, as long as you're doing it once a week. And then you also want to think through, what day are you going to post? Is it going to be, I'm going to post every Monday for the next 3 months? And you also want to think of that content theme. So are you going to do a celebrate post for a colleague every Monday, or an ask every Friday? So kind of think through those questions. And I'm going to show you an example. I'm an example person. I love examples. This is a real one of my actual clients. And so she would do meatless Mondays every Monday. That's what she would post, as a meatless Monday, and talk about the recipe. And actually, that one got the most engagement out of all of her posts. For some reason, food just does it for people. And then every Tuesday, she posted a tip or some sort of education that linked back to a product. And she was a product and service based, so it linked back to one of her products or services that she had that supported that tip or educational piece. And then every Wednesday was a quote, inspirational quote. Every Thursday was a tip that she had in a bigger blog post that she posted every week. Sometimes if she didn't post a blog post, she would link back to an older blog and just pull another tip out of there, which is totally fine. And it's okay to drum up old blog posts that you have. And then Saturday, she sort of left it free to be in the moment. So let's say she went camping or hiking, or she just stayed at home and enjoyed a warm cup of tea, whatever it was. She wanted to sort of be a little loose about it on the weekend. So looking at this calendar, you can see, okay, this is what she's doing every week. So in theory, she can sit down towards the end of the month before and do 4 quotes and just knock them out in an hour, and then pull from one blog post she can even do, and have a tip from that blog post, and just keep posting that blog post all the whole month. And then she just picks a product or service. So you can kind of see how the pattern can start to become apparent, and how you can maybe block out time for yourself for an hour or 2 hours and knock out a bunch of posts for a whole month. And then you just schedule them out and not think about it. So this one's pretty basic. It worked for her. I'm going to show you one that's a little more all over the place if you are someone that needs a little more variety in your life. So this example, they are a little more, this client's a little more business based, not so much sharing personal life. So they don't post on the weekends. They are a Monday through Friday kind of person. They've got a testimonial. You can see a testimonials every other week that they do. And then on Tuesday here, they have a promo or a discount, and they kind of push themselves once a month to offer a promo or a discount. So the first Tuesday of every month, that's what they do. And then here they have a quote, and they do a quote every other week and a fun fact every other week. And then Thursday, they are sharing a free resource. So I want to kind of give a little tip. Most of the time, people don't, for the days of the weeks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can kind of be serious and do some teachings and learnings. As you move into the weekend, Thursday and Friday, your content needs to get a little lighter because people are already thinking about the weekend and that work is over. So they're less interested in maybe educational kind of posts. So they start to get a little more fun. You can see contests and then like a holiday post. I think this month they happen to be a holiday. And behind the scenes is really fun. And the second week here, highlight new product or service. This is leads into Tuesdays, which is a tip with that highlighted product or service. So now you can start to think about, well, how can I link these 2 days? And then a fun fact, my recommendation would be a fun fact about this new product or service that you've now highlighted. And maybe you're doing a quick contest again regarding this new product or service. So that's kind of a level up from where the example number 1 is to example number 2. So I think I'm going to get out of sharing screen. I want to have you guys start to think through what this might mean for you. So through those 5 different big buckets, what are you pulled towards? What kind of content do you feel you could have the most ideas out of? And kind of jot those down or type them out, because I want y'all to leave here with a plan in place. So, and if you need to kind of brainstorm, come off mute. That's totally fine. Brainstorming about content is my favorite thing in the world. Oh, and I can pop this up again if it's helpful. I can share those. Here. Okay. So educate, inspire, show and share, ask and celebrate. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And if you have ideas in all 5, that's even more amazing. And celebrate is something that might just only pop up once a month or once every few months. So once you have that, I want you to think through, okay, realistically, how many days can you commit? Like, I'm so bad myself. I know consistency is where it's at, and I am terrible myself. So realistically, how many days do you think you've got it in you to commit and post? You can always add in more. So if you're like, okay, I got this, two days a week, I got this, then fold in more. And then what days of the week feel like something you want to do? So let's say you're more education based, you want to share your knowledge. I would say, a Monday, Wednesday post for you. Or if you're a little more, heart centered and there's a little more personal touches into your brand. Some people like to bring in their, more personal lives into the brand. You can trickle into the weekend and maybe you do a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday kind of post. And then now what content are you going to label on those days that you've picked? And you can be very broad, a broad stroke, or you can be more specific.